Welcome, everybody. Brand new week, which means it's episode 3 of our TEDx Grand Canyon University preview event in plain sight, and we cannot wait to keep going. The last 2 weeks, you've seen some incredible speakers and performers, and we cannot wait to show you and unleash their speeches and unleash their performances February 21st. But right now, we're going to keep the preview going, and, well, it's time for our final speaker. Give it up for A Plaster. J.A., I'm just going to say this to everybody. We've only known each other for like half an hour, and we've had like 3 serious, in-depth conversations.
I feel like I've known you a good long time now.
You know, I might as well call you Dad. That's kind of
well,
there we go.
You know what?
Saying you're old. I'm not saying you're old.
That's accurate.
I love it. J.A., and I literally was like, we should stop talking. We need to save this for the video. So hopefully we can get some good things going. But I'm just going to jump right into it, J.A. You write books, you do podcasts, and I want to talk about all that within the next 8 to 10 minutes. But I'm just going to jump right into it. You host your own podcast called The Nobody Guide to Life.
Yes.
And you're about to make a new podcast with your wife as a co-host.
Yes. I had The Nobody Guide to Life, and then I really wanted my wife to be a part of that. And we realized that the energy we were creating on the show was going to spin off something new. So we're going to start to tail off The Nobody Guide to Life, and we're going to launch the Ploskers. Yes. We're just going to be ourselves.
Oh, the Ploskers.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, put it together. It's your last name.
Yes.
I was thinking someone would play on words with the Oscars, but I get it now.
Yeah.
That's even better. When you do a podcast, J.A., how do you prepare yourself? Because just from talking to you, and obviously everybody watching this doesn't have the privilege I get of talking to you before and after, but when you do a podcast, you just can talk about anything. How do you prepare for a podcast?
Well, there's a lot of research. I mean, I do a lot of research on my guests, and I pull out questions that I think are really going to reveal who they are. And I use their work as my gateway. So if they have a book or if they have a coaching practice, I learn everything I can about them, and then that helps us to go really deep. Because it gets people, guests are comfortable when the host is prepared. Yeah. You can pick up on it when a host isn't prepared. So lots and lots of preparation.
Well, I'm open making you comfortable right now.
Yes. This
is a test, guys. When it comes to a podcast, because you also write books, how different is it to prepare for writing a book versus hosting a podcast? Because it's basically kind of the same. Not basically. It's very similar to, it's just your thoughts and you're expressing them, but it's so different. And how is that?
Well, when I do solo shows, it is a podcast episode, I have to help a guest tell their story. But then when I do solo shows, I have to tell a story. When I write a 280-page book, I have to tell a story. So you're right, it's all about storytelling. It's all about beginning, middle, and end. It's all about a little bit of tension and a little bit of fun. And I think, that's what makes things like Star Wars so interesting. It can get intense, then there's a joke. And it's because of people like Han Solo that the movies are really good. So you have to be a little funny, you have to be a little serious, you have to be a storyteller.
I'm 21 years old, about to graduate college in April, and for me, I always talk about this with people. For me, it's like when it comes to entertainment and just talking, I just thought it was something normal.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm just talking. What are you talking about? I could do this for a living. And then when I hear people like you that say, it's a storytelling, and I love talking to people that really know kind of like stand-up, because they're the smartest people. Like comedians, they're so smart with how they tell a joke and then they bring it in. And you're writing this new book, and it's about to come out. When you start a new project, do you just kind of have a blank slate, or is it typically idea, new project?
Well, I think at least for me as an author, I am the starting point. So you never really have a blank slate because you can't keep yourself out of the book. So when I sit down with a new idea, there's always a piece of me in it. And so you're always home when you start a book because you're always starting with yourself. So it's a really interesting question. So you have a blank cursor, but you're about to write yourself. No matter what the genre is.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. You talk a lot about being a storyteller, being a creative. Where does that come from? Because it's something you're either born with or you're not.
Well, I think everybody's a natural storyteller because, life is really just a series of stories, right? That's sort of how it is. I think it's about the ability to be open. When I watch you host, you're just yourself. Mm-hmm. You bring yourself to the stage, and I think that's your gift because you're open with your story. And I think if everybody were more open with their story, they would suddenly find they are a storyteller. Yeah. They would suddenly discover that within themselves.
Where do you think that comes from of people not being open?
Well, I'm a I'm a former social work counselor, and so I have those ideas on where it might be. But I think just from a human perspective, sometimes maybe we don't believe in our story. We don't believe it's worth telling. Sometimes we don't believe it's worth hearing. Yeah. So I think if we can really be honest with ourselves about, is the story we're telling genuine? Is the story we're telling really have a purpose? I think if people access that piece of it, they'd really want to tell their stories more. Yeah. So I don't think it's that people can't tell stories. I think sometimes people are afraid to, or they don't value their story.
A big part of your story that you've told me repeatedly is your family.
Yeah.
Family's your backbone. It's what you're going to talk about February 21st. Not exactly what you're going to talk about, but a big influence on it.
Right.
But when it comes to your family, when you think of just your family, what comes to mind?
Well, my daughter is 3.5, and you think you've got things together. You think you understand how things are working in your life. You think you've put things into neat little piles, and then your child comes along and kicks those piles all over the place. And I think having a child has completely changed the way that I look at my world, because a lot of the filters that I looked at the world through were generated by me. I created those. But when you have a child, you have a filter outside of you that completely changes your perception of the world. And that's something I don't have control over. Yeah. I can't control how she's going to affect my life. Wow. Because she's her own person. So that's what I think about. That's my passion, is every day is an adventure with her. That's what motivates me. Every day is an adventure.
You know, you led right into my next question, where it's, you know, you thought you have life together. You could go back 10 years from now. What would you tell young J.A. about buckle up? Because it's not what you expect.
It's never what we expect. I think if there was a piece of advice that I could give my college self, you will find your voice. Now I went to college in an age where there was one browser, and there were 4 sites you could go to, and there was no social media. There were these little chat boards that you could go on and type at a prompt. I didn't have what there is today. And I think we feel like we're getting lost. We tweet something and nobody likes it. We post Facebook and nobody does anything with it. And we feel like we don't have a voice. We feel like what we're saying doesn't matter. But you know what? You will find your voice. I wish my 19-year-old self knew that. I wish I would have known that many years ago.
Wow. Last question for you, J.A. A big thing that I love talking to you about in just the short time we've known each other is it seems like you always just have the next step, and you always are planning for what's next, and you're always prepared. 10 years from now, or not even just 10 years from now, what's your vision in life of, you know, the kind of the second half of your life, if you will, that you would love to just be, when we look at the life of J.A., you live for and what it stood for?
Well, there's a great irony in that question, and it's this. You said I always am prepared, and that's true, but one of the things that has changed my life is mindfulness. So it's about being in the moment. So I actually live in a tension. I call it a beautiful tension. Half the time I'm preparing, and half the time I'm trying to be in the moment. So I hope 10 years from now, I'm still learning the art of mindfulness and being in the moment, because that's where everything's happening. Things aren't happening in the future, they're happening now. So that's where I want to be in 10 years, right here in this moment.
Well, Jay, we cannot wait to hear what you have to talk about February 21st at the main event of TEDx Grand Canyon University.
It's going to be great. I can't wait.
I can't wait either. We'll be right back to episode 3 of TEDx Grand Canyon University preview event. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3, the final episode of the TEDx Grand Canyon University preview event in plain sight. We are very excited to finish off with the man, the myth, the legend, the man who puts this together. We cannot wait. Please give it up for the TEDx Grand Canyon University president, Justin McLean. Justin, you love stuff like this, don't you? Just Love being in front of the camera.
I don't know if love's the right word, but
You tolerate it.
Pleasure
You
to be
tolerate
here.
me. Justin, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Second year we're working together on TEDx Grand Canyon University, and I just want to ask you a question that maybe you haven't even had time to think about. How has the year been for you in this new role of president?
one word, crazy. I know it's kind of cliche, but it's been a wild ride. It's been a blessing. It's been stressful. It's been extremely exciting. But it's, I think, looking back on it so far, and it's not done quite yet, but it's a huge, huge blessing.
Wow.
It's extremely humbling to be where I'm at.
Yeah. Last year, you're vice president of which department exactly?
Content creation.
Content creation. Talk about that, and kind of you were junior in college, correct? How has that experience prepared you for the role you're doing now as you're about to embark on adult life and graduation?
Yeah, so for those of you that are confused, content creation it essentially is over kind of the more creative piece of the event. So that's working with speakers, working with our awesome design team, our videography and production team. So last year, working with those folks, I got to really see a piece of some really hardworking, creative people, and stepping up year by year, you get a little further away from the doing and a little closer to the helping others do. And I think that was the biggest thing that's really prepared me for where I am now is learning to serve in a way that empowers others and allows them to do the best job they can and put their skills and their talents into something like this in a way that is just so impressive.
Wow.
So.
About to graduate. We're both about to graduate. It's crazy to think about. We've known each other for a couple years here on the campus of GCU. Would you say you're prepared for graduation?
Judging by how I'm starting to lose my hair, no. But it's... Can the camera see that? No. You're never prepared all the way.
Yeah.
I'm excited. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Graduation, marriage, TEDx, a new job, moving. It's
Wow.
doing every single one of the most stressful things in your life all at the same time. I tell people it's a busy life, but it's a blessed life, and that's the way I like it.
That. I always tell people that it's, especially for people like us who have been blessed with just platforms on this campus to do so much at GCU, it's a blessing and a curse to say we're sad to leave, because it's in a society that we live in today, there's so many people our age that cannot wait to leave their college campus. And not only do we get to say that, but we're excited about what's next. And Justin, TEDx Grand Canyon University has really shaped the man you've become, but also your college experience. When you look at, you leave, you graduate, you walk across that stage, but your heart's still going to be, a part of your heart's always going to be part of what's going on here at TEDx Grand Canyon University. What do you feel about, where do you see this going in the future?
Well, I'll say first off, I can confidently say that being a part of TEDx has shaped me and taught me more and grown me more than any other class or experience in the last 4 years. And that is because it's real. I feel like a lot of times we step into class, we step into wherever, and it's class, and it's whatever. This is completely student-run. There's no ties to any kind of hand-holding or safety net, and that makes you perform like no other when your safety net's gone. And it's taught me a lot about real life. It's given me opportunities that I would not have had otherwise. And I'm extremely thankful for that, and so proud of the team that has gone before us and the team that's here now. So.
When people watch this, it's going to be pretty close to February 21st. February 22nd comes along. What do you just hope happened the night before? What's just one thing that you can live with, being like, even if the entire event maybe not goes perfectly, but you can say that was a success, and I'm proud to be a part of that?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
I would say it all hinges on the attitude and success of my team. I mentioned how TEDx has grown me. It's shaped me. I think if my team and every single person that's here and working can feel like they've grown, they've been stretched, they've been challenged, and they did their darnest to step up and meet that challenge, then it'll be a success no matter what.
Wow. I love that. Justin, you are a very humble man, and that's one thing I respect about you is it's never about you, and it could be. You're the president, you're the man in charge, and it could always be about you, but you're always so quick to give other people opportunities, other people a platform. I want to give you this chance, though, to just say any thank yous that you can to anybody that's just helped shape you to become the man that's about to walk across the stage in 2-3 months.
Yeah, thank you. From a TEDx perspective and our team, our sponsors for sure. Kane State's here tonight. It's because of community like that I've had the opportunity that I've had and that others have had the opportunity they've had. Yeah. I hope, and you touched on this earlier, I hope that in the future, TEDx Grand Canyon University is a place that although the world may have gone towards more isolation or more selfish, and we don't know where it's going to go, but I hope that TEDx Grand Canyon University is a hub for people to come together and say, hey, regardless of my background, let's come together as a community and explore some new ideas that may change the world. Wow. I want to say thank you to Don Pacillo, who's out here today, was also a Mr. President, so he's helped me get to where I am today and taught me a lot. And last, I want to thank our speakers. You guys are putting in the work. You're putting in the hours. It's been 4 years now that I've worked alongside what you guys are doing. I appreciate it. I appreciate that you guys are here tonight. I appreciate our past speakers. It is so much, and it is so brave to get out there and tell your message because you believe it should be heard. So thank you guys.
Yeah. Well, Justin, I can't predict the future, but as long as the people in charge have the same heart that you have for it, I guarantee you it's going to be a success, and I can't wait to be a part of it again. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity for a preview event. And Justin, we cannot wait to see how the main event goes. It happens February 21st. You can get your tickets at TEDxGrandCanyonUniversity.org. We just want to give a shout out to Canyon State and Artisan, two of our sponsors here at TEDxGCU. And finally, it's been a ride on these preview events. Guys, thanks so much. Justin, anything to say?
Thanks, Caleb.
Man, it's a blessing. See you guys. Lopes up.